Most people think that failure is the biggest threat to their growth, but it's not. The real threat is their own comfort. Comfort is what keeps people drifting for years without even realizing it. You see, you get comfortable in your habits, you get comfortable in the lifestyle you're living. You get so stuck in this old identity, one that's no longer serving you. You get stuck in the comfort zone of your business, the current level it's at, your career, your life in general. You get caught up in the comfortable feeling. And it's so easy to stay there and to stay in the comfort zone as opposed to trying to stretch yourself and go outside of it. Because the thing is, the comfort zone, it feels safe, right? It's something you know. And the saying is, sometimes the devil you know is better than the angel you don't. But the reality is, that devil you know is sinking you. And even if it is an angel that you know, that comfort zone is slowly killing your growth. See, when you get comfortable, you grow, you have this growth, right? And that comfort, it feels earned. It feels like you deserve it. It feels stable. You feel like just it's complete stability. Everything around you, things are just flowing well. But what it's actually doing is it's quietly and slowly slowing your growth. You see, because when you get comfortable with something, what do? It happens in relationships, marital relationships. It happens in business relationships. It happens in life. It happens in business. It happens in our physical, our mental, our emotional well-being. You stop pushing. You stop trying to achieve more. You stop trying to win because you feel like you've already won and that's it. It's time to coast now. But the reality is that that stop of pushing is slowly and quietly killing you and killing your momentum because if you're not growing, think about this with a plant, for example. Oh, when's the last time you looked at a plant, a tree? A tree doesn't stop growing because if it's not growing, it's decaying. It's dying if it's not growing. So when you stop pushing that relationship, whatever it is, your business, it stops growing and it slowly starts dying. You stop questioning things. You think everything is just, it's great as it is, a status quo. You don't question whether or not things need to change. It's that age-old saying, we've been doing it this way for decades, right? You think about that. How many times do you hear that in a business sense? Or even a personal sense. I've been doing it this way for decades. Why would I change? Why would we change? This has been working. The thing is, over 100 years ago, we used to get around by horses, right? And that's what we did for centuries. That's how we traveled, was horseback. But some great minds started questioning that. And they started evolving and evolving the way we think. And now everybody drives. The vast majority of people drive. See, they pushed for more. They questioned the status quo of riding horses and evolved. And that's how we got going. We went from riding horses to driving cars. We went from living in caves to now living in homes. There's a lot of things in life that we used to do, and you don't even have to look back centuries. You can look back 50 years. A lot of things we used to do that we used to think was okay. That was the status quo. So we kept doing it. But then somebody questioned it. Somebody wiser than us questioned it, right? So when they questioned it, we questioned it, and we grew. We evolved because the status quo wasn't working. You see, builders, people with a builder mentality and in the trades, they're especially vulnerable. Because once that business works, you build the systems to get that business going, right? And those systems start to settle. You get comfortable, you relax, take your foot off the gas. You think, oh, I can finally breathe. And yeah, you can. The problem is you're taking more than one breath when you should only be taking one breath because you've got to keep evolving. You got to keep growing. You got to systems can set you free, but systems can also cause stagnation. Systems can stifle creativity. I want you to think about this as with an owner's mindset. Think about you hire a brilliant person, somebody that you know is amazing at what they do. They've been leaders in the industry or whatever for decades, and you know that they're amazing at what they do. And you hire them because you want them to help you grow, right? And this happened with me. I remember years ago, I was approached by a company that said, Doug, we want you to come in and help straighten out this division that we have. It hasn't been profitable. We're losing money all the time. We invested all this money into this equipment and we can't seem to make it profitable. We just keep losing money. That's all right. Let's do it. So we sat down, we talked. I understood a little bit about how they were operating. And over time, I understood more and more. And I was trying to make changes. But just like so many other business owners, the owner was stubborn. It's like, no, I don't want you to change how I do things. I just want you to change the bottom line. Let's keep doing things the exact same way we've been doing them for years, but let's just make it profitable. Einstein gets credited with this saying. I believe it's Einstein gets credited with this saying a lot. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So why would you build a system and not evolve it? Sometimes it works to start, and like that example I just gave you, it worked to start. But as they tried to grow, they tried to grow with the same model that they started with. And that model worked in a different division, but not in this division. They thought that same system could just be transplanted from A to B and function, but it didn't. You see, quite often what happens, different from that example, is you get these systems in place and your income stabilizes, right? Doesn't that feel good? Feels good though, right? When your income stabilizes, you no longer have this roller coaster, this up and down cycle, the seasonal flow, the hot and cold. And you get into these routines, your routines start forming and you're developing them and they feel amazing because it's so comfortable and things are flowing for the moment. But then something happens. Those same systems that you put in place, they're stalling your growth. That stable income now becomes unstable. Those routines are actually crushing your success and withholding you from growing further. But it's all comfortable, it's all familiar. So you want to stay there, right? Because that's comfortable. You think you justify it by saying things like, oh, it's just the season. Oh, it's just the market. Oh, it's just the weather. Oh, it's just this. Oh, it's just that. You justify your stagnation with excuses. You see, yes, the market fluctuates, it goes up and down. But you know what happens? The people that evolve, the people that adapt, the people that grow, they adapt to that market. And instead of losing money and going out of business, they stay profitable. Because when you get comfortable, right, your systems settle, your income stabilizes, and your routines form. But then the people stop growing. And when the people stop growing, they start to drift and they're not as focused. And then when the market turns, by the time they realize it, it's gone so far that now they've got to play catch up. And rather than saying, you know what, I was drifting, I wasn't paying attention, I wasn't doing what I should have been doing, they pass the buck. They don't take accountability. Instead, they blame it on the market. They blame it on the timing. They blame it on the weather. They blame it on the government. They blame it on this. They blame it on that. Everything but themselves because they're so comfortable with who they are. You're so comfortable with who you are. How many times have you done that? Look, the markets do get tough. Right now, we're in a tough economy. It's a tough market. But the thing is, some people are winning, really, really winning. If you look back in history, I mean, you can do a bunch of research. If I had no one's going to talk about this, I would have done the research, but this is all off the top of my head, mostly. If you look back in history, So many successful companies were started when the economy was rough. Just take a look. Uber. If I'm not mistaken, I think they were started in 2008. Was that a great year? We don't have to look too deep to realize it wasn't a great year, right? But that was evolving. They weren't comfortable. They weren't staying stagnant. They were growing. And I talked about this in a previous video. One of the ways to help you make sure that you're evolving, you're growing, and you're not just drifting is I talked about a framework I use, an acronym I use, the end of every day. WIT, W-I-T. Did I live my day looking to gain and share wisdom? Right? So if you're looking to gain wisdom and to share wisdom, guess what? You're still growing. You're not going to be stagnant. Then the I, intentional. Did I live my day intentionally or did I just drift through the day? Did I get comfortable and just coast? Look, I got to be honest with you. When I was getting ready to record this video, I was like, "Ah, I really don't want to. I really don't feel like it. I'm not in the mood because my comfort zone was trying to creep in. You know, the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other. And that devil was trying to whisper in my ear, nah, put it off. Why do today we can put off till tomorrow? The challenge with that is you're drifting. I would have been drifting if I had done that. I would have been staying in my comfort zone because it'd be easier to just sit on the couch, put my feet up, turn on the TV, and I don't know, watch whatever's on. Maybe do some binge watching on Netflix. But then I'd be drifting. I wouldn't be living my day with intention. See, even on a daily basis, it doesn't matter how intentional you are. You don't have to have your day from wake up time to bedtime planned out to a T. Just make sure you're putting some intention in your day. And look, the T in WIT, W-I-T, that T stands for thankful. Again, I'm thankful for this opportunity to speak to you. You know, in the past, like I just talked about today, how I felt before I recorded this video, but I want to talk about there's a season when I stopped pushing. I started drifting. I was working hard, but I wasn't growing. I was actually dying inside. And you see, that's what happens to so many builders. We stop pushing, we stop growing. And slowly that, I said earlier, if you're not growing, you're decaying or you're dying and you die internally. And it's not just you that it affects. It affects your family. It affects your employees. It affects your customers, your clients. It affects your community. It affects the world in general. Look, the version of you that built your current life, it's not always the version that builds the next one. Sometimes that version, that old version of us, it needs to be put to rest. We need to release that version, step into the new version. Look, if you know me, you know I talk about this all the time. We heard this growing up. I heard it growing up all the time. Winners don't quit and quitters don't win. But you see, there's more to that. It's kind of like the saying, um, the greatest form of flattery is imitation. But there's more to that saying. The greatest form of flattery is imitation. And I'm going to make me a little bit trying to explain it, but it's basically saying somebody that doesn't know what they're doing or has no idea, trying to copy somebody that does know what they're doing. I remember years ago, I was doing these videos, these trainings, and I discovered that somebody was copying what I was doing. They're literally taking what I was training on, and they were copying it and training people with their version. And it was great because I was like, obviously, what I'm doing is right. It's striking chords. I was like, why be lazy? I get it. There's a lot of stuff in this space that gets repeated. There's not a lot of new groundbreaking ideas in this space, but you can take it and make it your own. So, like that saying, the greatest form of flattery, winners don't quit effort. That last word makes a difference. They quit comfort when comfort stops serving them. And if you're honest with yourself, really honest with yourself, you, you already know where you're falling victim to comfort and you're drifting in your life and in your business. Look, if this lands, if there's moments in this video that light you up a little bit inside, maybe make you say, oh, that kind of sounds like me. This is your sign to stop drifting. Start being more intentional.